Hey, what's up? Hello, Futurecasters. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Past, Present, Futurecast, the podcast that's also a tarot card reading. This week, I'd like to chime in on the Chapel Roan discourse. If you are not chronically online like I am and unfamiliar with the chatter about Chapel and her comments on parenthood, honestly, keep it that way. It's a mess and not worth our time yet. It relates to both our card of the week this week and my own personal activities from last weekend. A super brief summary of the discourse is that Chapel Roan made a comment about how her friends with children are suffering because it's fucking hard raising children in this capitalist hellscape where we have literally no social supports or safety nets for those who weren't born into immense privilege. I, being a young millennial, also have friends with kids, young kids, and I kind of think they would agree with that statement. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. If you're listening and you disagree, let me know. I'd love to chat. We are all struggling, and they are struggling, from my view, a million times more because they have tiny people to both keep alive and also shape into humans who are going to inherit the earth that we are currently absolutely fucking up and fucking over. I know they love their kids with the force of 1,000 suns, and I also know that it's a really difficult position to be in. And while I love them and their children deeply, I do not envy them. Our card of the week this week is the Three of Cups, and it is reminding us that kiddos are community members too. I am constantly thinking about community, how to cultivate it, and what events or gatherings I can host to bring folks together, but I'm not always considering if these gatherings are inclusive of parents. Of course, there is absolutely a place for adults-only events, but we gotta remember to bring in the littles when we can. Here is my highly specific advice that is definitely not just a retelling of what I did last weekend that left me feeling very fulfilled. Light a bonfire, invite your friends and their children, hang out with the kids while the parents sit back for a bit, feed those kids way too many s'mores before returning them to their parents for the night. Seriously, the Three of Cups is all about fostering supportive, reciprocal connections. Being the village for your friends means being a good villager and giving when you have plenty. One thing I have plenty of is space, marshmallows, and energy to keep a 3-year-old entertained for 2 hours at a time. These same people have given to me when I needed it, and I know that we will all continue to share back and forth amongst each other as time goes on. So, identify your village this week and consider what you can give and what you would like to receive. Give what you can and ask for what you need. Okay, that's the tarot message for this week. On to a tiny bit of housekeeping. Here is your weekly reminder that I have a Patreon page where I share occasional extra tarot and witchy content for the low cost of free $99. You can become a free member at patreon.com/Persephonic. That's PERSEPHONIC. Or check out the paid tiers that help keep this podcast running, including one tier where you can receive personalized tarot guidance every single month. Of course, you can also schedule a one-off tarot consultation with me at calendly.com/Persephonic or by reaching out via my website, persephonictarot.com. Lastly, if you are in Tucson, Arizona, I will once again be offering in-person tarot readings during happy hour at the Moonstone, the rooftop bar and restaurant at the Graduate Hotel, from 5 to 7 p.m. on Friday, April 18th. Spots filled up very quickly last time, so arrive early to claim your spot if you want one. That's all my updates for this week. If you are enjoying the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode and consider sharing with a friend. Now, without further ado, please enjoy this week's interview with tarot reader and astrologer Mariana Ramos. Hello and welcome. I am here with Mariana Ramos, who is a tarot reader and astrologer who works under the business with Love from Mars. So, welcome, Mariana.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate this. It's going to be fun.
So, Mariana, I guess before we really get into it, we should shuffle and pull some cards. Sometimes I forget to do it before we hit record. So, let's do that
That's
now.
okay. Let's do it.
Okay, so our cards are laid out. So, how would you say your past has influenced who you are today and the work that you do today?
I named the whole thing with Love from Mars because my name being Mariana, my nickname as a kid was always Mare. And a lot of people couldn't say that. So they would just say Mar. And so I always thought Mars was like my planet, like as a little kid. Like I was like, oh, it's Mare's planet, like just add an apostrophe. So everything that I've like loved as a child about the stars and everything else like that, it's always like accompanied me through that. That being said, like I was born in Colombia. So I'm in Medellin, Colombia now, where I was born, but I moved to the States when I was really young. And in the States, we moved around a lot, like a lot. Like even within the city itself, like we never lasted more than like 2 years at an apartment. And then we moved cities a lot. And I ended up moving myself as an adult quite a bit. It's this pattern in my family. And therefore I have this like what I call tercera cultura identity. I'm not from here. I'm not from there. I'm not really from anywhere. And there's so many cities that I grew up in that like have hardcore identities that I relate to. Like, growing up in South Florida, that's an identity. Growing up in Houston, that's an identity. Going to college in Austin, that's a whole identity. And then living in LA for 8 years, that's a completely different identity. So I feel like my past has shaped me massively, especially with like where I've lived. Additionally, just my drive and my devotion and sort of like gut feeling for this work has definitely been fueled by like my dad's passing when I was really, really very young. I remember him very, very well. And I've never felt like, it's terrible to say because people lose their parents all the time, but like even though he hasn't been here, I've never really felt abandoned by him. Like I don't necessarily have that wound. I think thanks to divinity and the esoteric, I've been able to like connect even more with him and that part of me. And so, yeah, my past has affected me immensely. And then career wise, I mean, I thought I wanted to be in advertising for the longest time. Like I was in high school, never felt more sure than anything. I was like, yep, I want to make commercials. I want to make commercials. And I got pretty far. And then I had like my nodal reversal and my Saturn return. And I came up with that not wanting to be in advertising at all anymore. But there's still that part of me, right? Like my very analytical mind, just very marketing forward. It's very marketing driven. I pay attention to my aesthetics and my Instagram a whole lot because I just know that like the devil's in the details when it comes to, advertising and everything else like that. So yeah, I would say I've had a big part of my past is still somehow influencing my life today, but it's all things I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, you definitely have an aesthetic eye when it comes to your marketing and like forward public facing information. Your Instagram is beautiful. That's one of the things that kind of like drew me to your work as a Libra. I'm like, ooh, shiny, pretty. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So I
I
definitely
believe I see
see.
for second house. So for me, I'm
Okay.
like aesthetics, aesthetics, aesthetics.
Yes, make it beautiful and that will bring in the resources to you, right? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And one of the things that is so cool about your work too, that I don't see done very often is everything you share in both English and Spanish. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I just moved back to Colombia in 2023.
Hmm.
So I'm like starting this new life. Um I after being in the States for 20 years. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot. So I wanted to honor that. I didn't and I want to service people here. I mean, additionally, I didn't want people to see like my location tag and then that I'm not like, you know, aiding the communities here. That would be horrible. So then I also have different pricings. So like my dollar
Mhm.
amount is not the same as my pesos amount. And then yeah, I just wanted to make everything so that my mom could read it. It's fun. She's my number one fan. She replies to everything. She likes everything. She like comment on everything. She'll send me my own posts and she'll be like, "Oh my God, tell me, let's talk about this." And I'm like, "Heck,
Oh, that's
I
precious.
don't have time. I love you. I'm sorry."
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Wow. Well, I'm really hearing that you have been massively shaped by all of these locations that you lived in. So, born in Colombia and then moving to the United States and being in different locations in the United States, and now back home to Colombia. And the cards that have come up from your past, I'm really seeing how your physical location has really been like absorbed into kind of your sense of being. Because we have, first of all, the 10 of Pentacles coming up.
Mm. Mhm.
And there's so much there about like legacy and how each place that you've been to, ooh, showing that card changed my lighting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's
It
like,
made
"Oh, you're
everything
pink now."
it
Yeah.
made everything pink. Oh my gosh. So really, it's magic. It's a magic card. So bringing in that heart-centered space, the card is so pink or so
I
green and
love
it's
it.
turning everything pink. It's also being paired with the Ace of Cups. So it's like the location, the resources, the community, most importantly. Because for me, the 10 of Pentacles is a step beyond the 9 of Pentacles, where in the 9 of Pentacles, we have all that abundance, but we're alone. And in the 10 of Pentacles, we bring community into it. So, how each community has shaped you and like you've absorbed bits of that in this like really heart centered way is kind of what I'm seeing here.
Absolutely. And to take it a step further, it's funny because like my accents will change as well. Like I was born in the capital of Colombia in Bogota, but I currently live in Medellin, and those are two very different accents. And then, but I speak. I just it switches on and off. I don't know. It just comes out. To be fair. And then like yeah, in Texas, like I speak differently. Like my southern accent is a lot more different. And in LA, it's yeah, it's a lot more Valley girl. I don't know. It's so hard to describe, but yeah, there's definitely things I've taken from each city and each place that I've lived to like shape who I am today and my interests. Like my Spotify playlist is hilarious. It'll go from like chopped and screwed rap, like Tall Wall, to like vallenatos, Carlos Vives, Colombian music, to like pop.
I love that. I love that. It's giving shapeshifter.
100%. I mean, and then to me, the Ten of Pentacles is also so much like not just legacy, but like generational wealth.
Mm. Yes,
And
absolutely.
that is such a big theme in my family. It's such a big obstacle for a lot of us on the side of like my mom and her mom and my grandma. So I think yeah, and making that generational wealth also for your community, right? Your chosen family.
Where were you in the world geographically when you started working with tarot cards or started learning astrology, if those were at two different times?
They kind of coincided for sure. Astrology have always been like a light, student of like someone one time told me my chart wrong. Bless them. I had the wrong time. They're like, "Oh, you're triple Aries. Like, I would never fuck with you." And I would be like, "Whoa." I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, that resonates. But yeah, I never dove into it, right? I just kind of like I knew my rising, things like that. And that started probably in 2013. Never took it seriously, never did anything with it from there on until 2022, when that famous nodal reversal and Saturn return happened. And I was actually, a few years before that, I was gifted my first tarot deck. And so that was like 2019, but I never took it up. I never took it seriously. One, because I didn't have the time to study then. And also the person who gave it to me is like not somebody I respect very much. So it took me a long time. It was just like, it was like this gift.
It's like such like a Mars identified person thing to like get a key like piece of your life, a key to your future from your enemy, from your op.
Literally.
Haters line the path.
This was a boss of mine that like, oh my God, she was just awful. Like she was the most, and not to bash anyone's political views, but she was like the most like right wing conservative, pretty extreme. Her morals were just awful. Fuck who you vote for. Her morals were awful. And I lasted in there as much as I could because I thought it was a job for like my district in Los Angeles. So like I was helping 54 city blocks of businesses as a marketing director. And I just thought they need someone on the inside. I just thought these people, God bless them. Downtown Los Angeles is where I lived for 8 years. And it's a beautiful community, but it's not an easy place to live, especially because of the distance of like Skid Row. The housing crisis is really seen on its most like biggest contrast in downtown LA, where you have low income housing next to a 34 billion skyscraper. It's wild. So my focus being on that community and like helping out the local mom and pop places, stay open, especially during the pandemic, all of it. It's like they need someone on the inside. So I'm gonna put up with this boss lady. And for my birthday one year, she gave me a tarot deck. And she's like, I just think with everything you know about astrology, you'd be so good at this. And I was like, yeah, okay, dude. Thank you. It was like, thank you. I know better than to turn down a tarot deck, period. Like, especially just that was the straight up Rider Waite. So I was like, obviously there's something here to learn. Anyway, I quit that job because it got really bad. Even then, I didn't pick it up for like 2 years. And then 2022 happened and I was sick. I was sick for a full like year and a half, like on disability. I think it was some like fucked up thing about COVID. I honestly still don't know what it was. I got super sick. And so I had to go on disability leave from work. In my glory days, I was also a bar consultant in LA. And so when I didn't have anywhere to go, I always went to the bar. Like the hospitality industry is another community, another family, always, always for me, like always. So I went to my favorite bar called the Varnish, downtown LA. It's this old 1900s like speakeasy, like no AC, dark wooden tables and chairs and booths and everything, and it's old school. And I just would sit in my booth and I would drink Naked and Famouses and I would read for whoever let me. I just started practicing, and that way, like I would read someone and I would like run home to make sure I was right. And that's how I started. That's how I started reading and practicing and studying. And granted, I always said like, yo, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, this is very interpretive, all these things. Everyone kind of left that table like amazed or happy or weirded out. And so I have a lot of ape house placements. So like, go figure, I'd find my tarot journey in the back of a dark bar.
I am hearing so many parallels to your story and my personal story of developing a professional tarot practice. And it's amazing. It sounds like our charts are really similar. I'd love to compare them at some point, but you clearly have a lot of Mars energy.
Yeah.
Is that correct in saying? And so it's really cool that you, as a really young, there you go, little Mars tattoo on the or on the middle finger too.
On the middle finger. Yeah.
That's right.
Very specific. Yeah.
So that's awesome that you really like you started identifying with that planet at such an early age, you mentioned originally, and then when you learned your chart where you're like, "Oh, of course Mars's imprint is all over this chart."
Yeah. Astrology wise, when I learned my chart and I found out I was not a triple Aries, um, I I was I was really happy. I was also a little shook because I was like, okay, so I'm an Aries sun, Aries moon, Virgo rising. And like the only example I had of Virgo my whole life was my sister, which like God bless her, we get along so much better now. But at the time I was like, I don't what? Virgo? Okay. And then I started really analyzing myself. Like, I think that's the beauty about these tools, right? It's such a big self-awareness journey. And so I really started analyzing myself and I was like, oh my God. And then it got to the point where I was like, I can't be anything but a Virgo rising. Of course. Then I went through like an equal house phase, which I still kind of like enjoy my chart in a little bit, but my houses are divided strictly in two sides. So that makes it a little harder to navigate. But then I was introduced to my whole sign chart just last year by Bad Pastor. Shout out Lindsay Turner. They're one of my favorite people, and I'm very proud to call them a colleague. And yeah, we worked together and they showed me that my chart and whole sign has all this eighth house power. And that was a massive breakthrough for me, like massive breakthrough. And I kind of like the road and map that I'm taking for my work now. Yeah. And in discovering all that, my moon in Aries is in mutual reception with my Cancer Mars. So I'm very Mars coded, but I have this watery little Mars.
How has this Mars retrograde been for you? Because this is your natal Mars in Cancer. It wasn't retrograde or close to retrograde in your natal chart, though, right?
No, thank goodness mine. I have a lot of retrograde placement, but my Mars is direct. I feel really vitalized, especially with Aries season coming up. I'm just like, let's go. I don't know. I know that Mars doesn't do well in Cancer. I understand its deal with water signs, excluding a Scorpio, but I think it gives it such a heart. Like, I mean, that's why I named it With Love from Mars, because no one ever would think of the word love and think of Mars, right? But like Mars can't do anything unless its heart's not in it. So for me, I just imagined, I was like, oh, I just want to be like a little astrologer alien, like living on Mars and sending love letters to all my clients, like, and with love from Mars. And that's just also because like that's how I feel like a water Mars, is. Like it's the same warrior, it's just more heart.
People like you who can embrace that on a personal level, it's like, wow, those who can aptly use that energy, it seems like can do a lot with it. It's big like mama bear, fierce mama bear energy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's so funny. You guys briefly talked about it on the episode with the pop astrologist, but my private Instagram name, like, and I will never add anyone that I don't know, but it's Mama Mariana. Like that's my nickname. My friends have called me Mama Mariana since 2012. Like it's still my Hotmail email address is still Mama Mariana. So yeah, I think that's also indicative of the 11th house placement. Like I love being a mom to my friends. I love people like counting on me, relying on me, and like yeah, I will fight someone for you.
What was your journey to like starting to share about your tarot and astrology practice online?
After the bars dissipated and after I moved out of LA, I had read for so many people and like I had a really, really bad superstition of charging because it felt so wrong to monetize the cards in general, right? So I really struggled with that for a while. And then I brought the cards over to Colombia and I still kept getting asked at bars to read what energy portal did I open? You know what I mean? And so finally, like after this one girl like broke down in front crying in front of me, I was literally like, okay, I'm gonna start charging. I was like, I think this is good. I think, oh, I'm like, you'll be okay. But like also, wow, that. Okay, cool. Weird, but okay. And so I decided, I was like, okay, I can definitely start charging. But, I have all this love for astrology and they do blend in my readings in a way somehow with transits, or like, I'll be like, what sign are you again? Or whatever. They'll depict something in the cards with like, this energy is really close, really related to this energy in astrology. And so blah, 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 blah. And so I wanted to share my studies online in case I come up with something that someone hasn't caught on to before. Right. So that's why I share everything I'm learning is what I'm sharing on my Instagram. This is not like, I'm not banking on 10 years of experience or anything. Like, what I'm learning as I'm taking courses, as I'm reading books. I have so many books right here. It's going up there. But with tarot, it's such a personal scholarship, right? It's such a personal schooling. So I'm just kind of just now starting to post a little bit more tarot content just so people can like get a grasp of my reading style and whatnot. Most of my energy is focused in right now is a tarot package. I don't know. I wanted to help people for longer than a reading, like, but without teaching. So I was like, okay, how do I get someone who I know could rely on tarot a little bit more, but throughout multiple sessions versus the one off? And this was part of the big breakthrough that I made with that pastor, Lindsay. And when they showed me my eighth house activity, I asked the cards, what am I supposed to do with y'all? Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? It can't just be love reading to your heads forever. What's the vocation? Because I want to make a mark with this, like, I want to help people. Like, I want to help them transform. And seeing that eighth house activity and something that Lindsay said, they said, your Venus in the eighth house makes the journey to the underworld pretty. Like, you are a companionment for those shadows and people, for those corners and people, for those, hidden spots of pain for people. Additionally, being an Aries, you're brave enough to go down there with someone. And I was like, what? Immediately went and asked the cards, does it have something to do? What does it have to do with? What is my work? What is my purpose? And so over a month, I think it took me to realize everything. I made this tarot package. It's 4 sessions in a month through each lunar phase, major lunar phase, like the first quarter, last quarter, full and new. It's called surrendering. It's basically 3 readings and then a final session of just like reflection and interpretation and putting what we found out to work and like how. And one of the readings is called Little Death. So to sum it all up, what I came to terms with and what my energy is going towards the most right now is becoming that tarot reader who helps her clients through the little deaths of life. How to approach them, how to meet them, how to greet them with love and with openness and with like dignity, right? So that when we meet the bigger deaths, we're a little more prepared.
Wow, that sounds incredible. And I can see why you really liked listening to Tasha's episode as well, because clearly all Plutonic, eighth house people diving deep into the intensity and into the underworld. I'm looking at the cards that came up while you were talking, and the visual, like the 2 cards blended in my mind. And I saw like you as a really beautiful little flame, like forming this little fire bubble that you and your client enter into and then sink through like the deep waters of the ocean, having that like flame protection. Because the cards that came up were, one, the Page of Pentacles. So I'm literally in this moment now realizing that this is the Page of Pentacles and not the Page of Wands. I was picturing it as the Page of Wands, but it's beautiful because look how that looks like a candle. Like the card looks like a candle.
Yeah, it does
But
sometimes.
there's still a like this like protection aspect of you being like the warrior, the fierce fire warrior with your earthy rising still also grounding it and then taking your client through the 8 of Cups off into the unknown, off into the distance, deep into the waters. The 8 of Cups also always reminds me of eclipses and eclipse season because I think in the Smith Waite version I see that image that they have of the moon. It looks like the moon and the sun overlapped. So in my mind, I always think of it as an eclipse. I'm sure other readers have different interpretations, but the 8 of Cups always makes me think of that like having to let go, having to walk away, having to have that deep shift around something. And I'm so excited to see what the next like couple of years looks like for you as a Virgo rising with eclipses now happening in your first and seventh house in Virgo and
Uh-huh.
Pisces. Are
Uh-huh.
you excited?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I think, well, first, let me just say, like, for me, the Page of Pentacles is Virgo, and it's such a practical card. And thank you for pulling that, because that to me, I this is still, it's such a baby idea that, like, that card coming up to me is like, no, you're onto something. You're onto something that's not just your passion, but like resourceful for yourself and others. And that's what I want it to be. You know what I mean? Like earlier I talked about the service industry and advertising, and what I've taken from what I call my fall from grace from advertising. And that beautiful community from the hospitality industry is that no matter what I do, I want to be of service to people. Like that is such a very flourishing thing, right? The martyr, the nurse, the virgin, the caretaker, the let me do it for you sort of thing. I want to keep being of service to people. So that to me is the Page of Pentacles, and that card means the world. And yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Eight of Cups, that is that moon. I love that moon drawing. It's just so like, you're on the right path. Almost didn't. And as far as like eclipses, man, I'm excited to shed whatever previous versions of myself and my ego I need to shed the first house. And I'm excited for the right people to come into my life. Mars, another aspect, a negative aspect of Mars and Cancer in the 11th house is that like I've been hurt by people a lot. Like I've been in the wrong rooms a lot, or relationships that I've had to cut off. I'm ready for that North Node in Pisces in the 7th house to bring me some destined connections. And living in a new city, of course, is like, I never know if I'm meeting someone that's going to be in my life for like 5 minutes or 5 years.
So I wanted to look at the affirmation that the booklet here by Jerry Comandiber has for the Page of Pentacles, since that
Yes.
is a card that is so resonant for you. And it says here, my journey has just begun, but I know exactly what I want.
I
It's very
love,
444, like your
oh yeah.
necklace today.
Yeah. I'm a life path number 4.
An emperor
And the
with
death card and the emperor are my birth cards.
Yeah, with all of that Mars energy, that Aries energy. Oh my gosh, you are very martial. I appreciate that. No wonder I discovered you and your work in the last year. I feel like I've had a lot more martial folks coming in to teach me about myself.
That's so cool. I agree. I think I remember I saw your channel like in September, because I think I took one. It was one of your free workshops in like October, and I from jump I loved everything that you were talking about. I understood it so well. I got 78 degrees of wisdom because of you. Literally, I'm looking at my tarot table. Sorry. It's so
Love
funny
that
because
book.
in August in the Leo new moon, I made this vision board, which like podcast listeners can't see, obviously, but there's this Mars sign, and it says very important people. And I just want to keep
Oh
me
my
important Mars
gosh.
people.
The Mars VIPs. Amazing.
It's
Well,
really it's powerful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it just, you've talked so much about how you've physically moved so much in your life. Like there's so much like action and energy and movement. It just, you're really embodying the whole essence. I think it's amazing and incredible that all of your work is translated between two languages because language is, we're interpreting the cosmos, we're interpreting the cards through the lens or the film or the filter of language. We're trying to take concepts and ideas and felt sense and turn it into words. And for you to do that in multiple languages, where multiple languages are influencing what you are describing, that seems to me like such a rich way to expand your understanding of these archetypes. What have you learned through engaging with tarot and astrology in these multiple languages?
To speak of it technically, I've learned that Spanish culture is a lot more open to divination than I originally thought. Like I originally thought that I was gonna move here and the church being so prominent still in Latino culture, especially in Colombia, we have a day off for every Saints Day, which honestly, we should adopt that in the States, but it's they're a lot more open to divination than I imagined. And so it's made it really obvious to me that like the hype is multilateral, which is great. Thank you, Neptune and Pisces. But what I've learned is, on a spiritual level is like the different meanings and different interpretations for the cards resonate easier with Spanish people. And that's just because I think we just have a more romanticized view of life. And so it's a lot easier for me to put things in certain words that evoke certain emotions. And so there's a bit more of a connection, a heart connection in between my tarot readings in Spanish versus my tarot readings in English. In English, however, I am more poignant. I am more powerful. It's in the sense that my words, I use bigger words, and I say things that like hit home more for people. So I think what it has brought me though is it's a beautiful connection in both languages and a marrying of my minds, right? So when I read for myself, for example, I always read in English, but I will interpret or react in Spanish. It turns out to be like a Spanglish thing, but
Can
every
you break that down a little bit more, what you mean by that, of like
yeah.
what's reading and what's interpreting? Because I think this is fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing
Oh
this.
no, of course. Yeah. So like I'll sit down at my altar, I'll start shuffling or whatever. I say a little prayer ritual or whatever, like uh I call to the sun in Pisces, I call to the moon in Sagittarius, I call out to the planets and those energies in English. A lot of times I don't have a question for myself. I just try to see what they have to tell me. And then like I will turn a card and I'll be like, ay, pero mira, okay, entonces eso quiere decir, ve, chévere. And like I'll react in Spanish and I'll write the interpretation down in Spanish. I'll decode it. I like to interpret with like bullet points and then like put it into a paragraph. And I'll do that in Spanish. And uh for other people or for other content, it'll like switch. But what I really enjoy is just like, yeah, the marrying of my two brains of those two languages into one. And knowing that I'm helping a multitude of people by doing so, not just English speakers, but also Spanish speakers. Additionally, every tarot reader's connection with the card is extremely personal. And so to me, the fact that the cards like speak Spanish to me makes it even more personal and hilarious. Like, it, sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes they're telling me chinga tu madre. Like, okay, salte de ahí, boy, puta. O sea, all those things, like it gets to, yeah, it just really further develops that relationship.
When you say that kind of the way things hit or like the words you use are different in each language, do you mean that if you are reading or giving a client reading in Spanish, is it a little more like metaphorical and the client just kind of like doesn't need it spelled out as practically as maybe an English speaking client? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to put it in layman's terms, Spanish just like, or at least my Spanish, I can't speak for everyone else, but it just has a lot less woo woo language. Like in Spanish, it's just a little more, yeah, I don't need to build it further or give it like all these layers. It's very, very relatable. And again, because I think Spanish is such a romantic language all on its own, like without me having to be too eloquent or elevated with it tends to hit home pretty fast. With English, I think I'll like ramble a little more or I'll just like talk about everything I know about the card, and sometimes the clients can get lost in that. Like they don't need to know everything. They need to know how it applies to their situation. So first I time myself 100% always. But in Spanish it's just a little more like pum pum.
More like get up and go, get out of your situation versus you're being invited to notice what you need to let go of and gently walk away from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's really interesting how culture impacts language and language impacts culture.
Oh yeah.
So I can see how, especially like if you're reading for like an LA type English speaker is gonna be a little bit of a different approach, as you say, more
Very
woo-woo
different.
language.
Yeah, very different approach. It's a lot more, and like I can like it's just, yeah, it appeals to people's logic better in Spanish. I don't know why, but like so for example, in the Smith Wade deck, the 8 of Cups, I don't know if they were on that one, but they're unevenly numbered, right? And I'll just tell someone in Spanish like, mira cuántos vasos hay. ¿Cómo vas a caminar de aquí a allá con tanto vaso? That is to say, like, look how many cups there are. How is he supposed to like carry that from here to there with so many? So all these gauntlets, they're huge, they're heavy. It's emotional baggage, and they're like, yeah, no, that seems impractical. Beautiful, lo entendiste muy bien. Listo.
It's yeah, it's almost like the metaphor just makes sense. Like it's like you don't need to do the interpreting because maybe they're already in a mindset to just not need that extra layer and just get it.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think it's that the first of all, the Latin experience, the fact that most of us are immigrant experience, the fact that it is a romantic language, the fact that we have such passion, things like that. That layer that we live with 24/7 makes beautiful images and messages easier to see, easier to digest, easier to receive.
So we've talked about your present work. We've looked at how the route you took to get here. It's interesting that we have both in the past and in the present, we have one Pentacles card and one Cups card. It was the Ten of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups in the past that evolved into the Page of Pentacles. I love that. And the 10 and the Page are like right in order there. And the Eight of Cups. Where are you? We've talked a little bit about the new kind of tarot package that you're working on. What else are you hoping to continue to develop in your work? How are you hoping to grow or evolve your work as you move into the future?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, having just arrived in this space just like last year, I feel very destined, very happy, very proud, very honored, humbled also to be here. I could just be so happy just like designing tarot decks and like and providing full astrology, services and consultations to people because I do think I have a really unique grasp on it. And it's something I want to a year ago when I launched the channel, so actually my 1 year anniversary is on March 21st. But a year ago when I launched the channel, I was like, yeah, it's like natal chart readings coming soon. I'm not ready, but I feel like I am getting ready. So if I could just continue this work, if I could continue being of service to people, like as long as I just continue being of service to people, like that's all I really care about. I would love to work with an artist to develop, my interpretation of the traditional Smith weight deck. If I could do that, travel all over the world, bring it to people in areas that are underprivileged, I think I would be so very, very happy. It's that. It's a very simple dream. It's a very simple wish. But I think these are two fields in which you never stop learning. And that's what I love. I don't see an end goal with it. I don't think there's a glass ceiling I'm trying to reach. I just want to have the privilege to keep doing it. Um, right now I don't even do it full time. I do it part time because I have bills to pay and other stuff to do. And so I wish I could say I'd rely solely on this for a living, but I don't yet. So I think that's my future right now. It's just like if I could just do this all the time, that would be amazing. And my day job, I do other stuff that's not as magical. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it coming. I feel it happening. My cousin is a fantastic graphic designer. We've talked about tarot decks before. He's got some beautiful things in mind. I'm not there yet, but yeah.
Wow. Well, the first thing that you said was like, now that I'm here in this new place, and I almost wanted to stop you and say, look at the first card we flipped over, the Ace of Pentacles. Now that you're here and rooted.
That's wild.
It's beautiful with these like blooming daffodils and
Yeah.
that pentacle as this like bright shining star.
Yeah.
It's very like, here you are, congratulations. From the 10 to the page to the Ace of Pentacles. That's a beautiful flow. Now I kind of want to look up what the Ace of Pentacles affirmation is in
Me.
the guidebook. Let's see what that says. I manifest everything I desire with ease. Sounds like you're in the right place. And then we also have the Four of Wands, really grounding you in your passion, in your excitement. It really does feel like going back to Colombia is like really a return to your fire, a return to your heart fire. I think of the hearth when I think of the Four of Pentacles, like the campfire, the wood stove in the house, the consistent source of warmth and nurturance and food. It's very Mars in Cancer. Four of Pentacles, I feel like, is very Mars, or Four of Wands is very Mars in Cancer because it's that fire that nurtures us. It's that fire that makes a home for us. So that's really beautiful. Combined with the Ace of Pentacles, it seems like the change in location is going to be beneficial for you. And I love that you're thinking about it in terms of exploring that. You said Sagittarius North Node? Was that it? Sagittarius North Node in the fourth
In the
house?
fourth house. Yeah. It's
Mm.
right. It's so my nodes are on my IC and my DC. Like right there.
Oh my
I know.
gosh. We
Why
have
was
really
it the
similar
chart?
signatures.
Yeah. Somebody give me the chart. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first of all, the Four of Wands, my favorite card. Thank you. I love that card.
It's a really sweet one. I love it.
That's a good card, and I'm also a huge student of Greek mythology. So for me, like the goddess Hera, It's always been like a vocation, a god I like to pray to a lot. So that means the world. Thank you.
The hearth, taking care of the hearth. The
Uh,
affirmation for the Four of Wands from Jerry Comandaber says, I am content with resting in the present moment and excited for the future. So that feels like a good omen looking towards the future, that where you're at in the present moment right now is really holding you and preparing you and easing you into all the beautiful things that are to come.
yeah, I always say, first of all, I love that. I really need this deck. I always say that Aries has no past. You know, we don't really or first for the newborns, we are that audacious. We have that instinct, we have that impulse, we have that drive. It's because we have no past. Like for me, it's easy to wake up every day and really be here and focus on the future. Does my little Virgo rising sometimes focus a little too hard in the future? Yeah, sure. But it sure has made uh getting over that very painful past a lot easier. Yeah. To be in Aries, just have absolutely no recollection.
I don't remember shit.
Yeah, what happened? I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I do not know. I was
Yeah,
back in the soup. That's Pisces shit.
literally, I, I came out of that soup.
Lost
I
in the
don't know
fog.
what happened
I do
before
not
the
know what is
soup.
back there.
No idea. No idea. Yeah.
How are you feeling about all of these planets about to shift from Pisces into Aries? We've got Neptune. Venus has already made the shift, but is going to go back and do it again. And then Mercury.
Yeah. Mercury and Saturn, soon-ish. I'm really excited because I am kind of ready for action. I feel like we've been under the veil of Pisces for a good, healthy while. But I feel like that, again, not to get political, but on a global scale, we see it as like that sort of like lack of action that we wanted, in our leaders or from Democrats or from people to save us from oligarchs like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And I just feel like it's because we've all been rightfully so and under Pisces veil healing from a lot and still going through a lot. And I think Aries is going to bring a lot more of that because obviously Aries also has an ugly side of war and of fighting thing and things like that. But it does bring forth that warrior. It does bring forth that action. It does bring forth like that, not to say it's one person, but we need someone to save us. We need someone or something and energy to come and just and give us one fucking break, like one fucking win. And I think that
Yeah.
Aries season is gonna bring forth a lot of those people. So I'm really, really excited.
Yeah. And I mean, when the question is posed of who is coming to save us, any who question, the Aries answer is me. I. It's me.
Exactly.
So it's all of us have to come up and say, okay, I'm looking for a savior. Well, the savior is me. I'm looking for a warrior. The warrior is me. And with Neptune moving in to Aries, the spiritual warrior is coming forward for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh my God, 100%. I think it's gonna be great because it's gonna shine a light on like the other day I read this post about how modern spirituality has been turned into this capitalist evil of like, people doing cacao ceremonies without honoring the native tribes, that invented them or even mentioning them or any kind of trace back to like crediting ancestors and things like that. I think we're gonna see a big dip in like the scammer spiritualists, the people that were, the fire festival of spiritual people are definitely gonna get an ass kick.
Yeah, I had this thought the other day that I think in the next probably coming decades. I think it's maybe a little while off before we really hit the wall, but we're going to have a lot of people deconstructing from their spiritual awakening or from the stuff they got into in the spiritual world in the same way that right now people are deconstructing from their religious upbringings. We're going to have people realizing that they were led into cults, that they were following people who were disingenuous, that they were being deeply manipulated by people and having to come to terms with that. And that's going to play really well with the pendulum that has swung so far in one way of like, yay, tarot, yay, astrology, we're all witches, we're all spiritual girlies. That pendulum has to swing back the other way. And I'm a little nervous for what that's going to mean for folks like us who are publicly, loudly upfront about our spiritual practices. But it's not like that hasn't happened before. It's not like our ancestors haven't faced that before. So I'm preparing for that, but I'm preparing for that, period.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm ready for war, and that's also meaning to say like not just fighting, but like defending, right? Defending our practice, defending our ancestors. Thank God we're not during, in the Spanish Inquisition, or we literally be fearing for our lives. But they're definitely, I think the witch wound has definitely been integrated into, and at least people like us, and that eighth house signature is pretty much what gives us the armor, I think, for everything that's coming our way. And also to defend, it's like I said earlier, it's more than just, it's so much more than just divination. It's self-awareness. I always tell people in my sessions, you know what I mean? Like, the tarot is a mirror. You are going to hear me say stuff you already know. You are just going to hear it differently from a non-biased person point of view. That being said, my readings, I don't let people tell me their question. I don't let you tell me what you're asking. I don't want to know. I used to be in advertising, honey. I'll sell it to you. I will automatically, you'll walk out of here with a house and a car and you'll be like, what happened? It's just what my mind will automatically do, because I want you, because whatever, the message is clear, the message is pure. I want you to believe in it. So I'm going to sell it to you and apply it to your question if you tell me what that is. If you don't, and we keep this air of secrecy or at least privacy, at least before the reading and during, after, you want to have a drink, kind of tell me about your problems, you want to tell me about your life. Okay, sure. But like, I don't let people tell me their stuff before, because I think that's between them and the cards. And I'm just a humble messenger. I'm just Mercury, like I'm just here to tell you, and I'm just gonna go away again, because I need you to like realize it and spend some time and pick up the card, and and like, so I let people also come to their own conclusions as well if they want. I tell them, sure, but this is like the meaning of the card. If that's the meaning that I gave you, okay, that's up to you. That's personal. I don't gaslight anyone in my readings either. I think that like it's just really important for people to find that me, that independence, that who's gonna get you out of it, you. Who's gonna get you through it, you.
I think that's a great approach to readings is you tell me as little as possible. I will give you what I'm seeing. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah, also, I don't want to be liable.
Yeah, exactly. I did not tell you to do anything specific. This is just for entertainment purposes. So, where can folks find you? How can they schedule a reading with you? Where are you in the world?
I'm only on Instagram. I want to like TikTok, but I just can't. I think I'm past that threshold. I'm just too old, man. But take on Instagram, yes, Con Amor de Marte, with love from Mars. I don't have a website, but my link in bio has everything that you need to book a reading with me.
Amazing. I will drop that Instagram link down in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mariana. This has been so much fun. I've loved the cards that have come up. I've loved this conversation with you. I am a huge fan now. I was before, and now that I have gotten to pick your brain a little bit about your practice, I'm amazed by it, and I hope that folks go and schedule a reading with you. So, I think that's all we have for today.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. I knew from the jump that we'd get along. I was like, ever since I took your workshop, I was like, I need to be friends with this girl. So
Yes. Well,
thank you.
mission accomplished.
Yes.
You're so
Like,
welcome.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you to everyone who has been listening to this conversation. We appreciate you endlessly, and always happy shuffling.